Joining me now, though, is from San Francisco, is Democratic Congressman Mark DeSaulnier of California. He is one of the lawmakers not attending the inauguration. And in Cleveland, I'm joined by former Ohio State Senator Nina Turner, another Democrat. Congressman DeSaulnier, first off, I want to ask you that you were not going to go to this inauguration even before this spat with John Lewis. Do you believe that Donald Trump is a legitimate president since you weren't planning on going, period?
Well, Katie, first of all, thanks for having me on. He received enough votes through the Electoral College, so he is the incoming president. In terms of questioning his legitimacy and what the Russians have done, I think it will take some time and maybe some history to quantify that. And at this point, I'm not just ready to say he's not legitimately elected president.
So how do you feel about some of your colleagues, or at least one of your colleagues, John Lewis, coming out and saying he doesn't believe he is legitimate? How do you feel about not going to the inauguration when there's criticism that the Democratic Party isn't trying to help make sure that someone like Donald Trump is a successful president?
Well, first, let me say John Lewis is the most respected member of Congress, as you have said, a civil rights icon. So I have great respect for John Lewis. I think it was a tremendous mistake by the president-elect to confront John Lewis. On the other side, this is a personal decision by myself. I waited till a Wednesday press conference to make my decision. I just don't feel right about being in attendance with the president-elect. I had hoped that he would grow into the office, but his constant attack on American decency, irrespective of whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, I think is a real problem for this country, and it was a problem for me.
And Nina, a little bit earlier, Congressman Barbara Lee was on with my colleague Hallie Jackson. She asked her multiple times if she believed that Donald Trump was a legitimate president. She ducked 3 times. Take a listen and we'll react on the other side.
Jerry Nadler this morning, for example, are agreeing with John Lewis that Donald Trump is not a legitimate president. Is he?
Let me first say to you that we have to realize and recognize what this means when a foreign power interferes in our elections.
So do you agree with him then that because of Russian interference, Donald Trump is illegitimate? But on the issue of whether Donald Trump is legitimate, do you think he is, on January 20th, going to be the legitimate president of the U.S.?
Donald Trump, first of all, will be sworn in as the president of the United States.
Are you worried about statements like that undermining the democratic process, Nina?
A little, Katie. I mean, everyone has the right to their own opinion, but they don't have a right to their own set of facts. And although all of the intelligence agencies have come out very clearly to say that Russia meddled, i.e. there was some hacking of emails across the board, what they did not say was that the Russians voted on Election Day. What they did not say was that the Russians interfered with the voting machines themselves. We did have a free and fair election. The Russians did not write the emails. But that being said, there needs to be a full investigation because as the United States of America, we cannot allow any power, whether it's Russia, China, or any other power, even domestically, to be able to impact our elections, or we got to deal with the cyber war threat that we face in the 21st century across the board. President-elect Trump is legitimate. Even President Obama has said that. And so my Democratic colleagues have to come to grips with that. And we have to decide what we are going to do moving forward to win elections. That starts this year, next year, and beyond.
Well, let's talk about that. You were a big supporter of Bernie Sanders. How does the Democratic Party find a way to capture the enthusiasm that Bernie Sanders enjoyed during the primaries, but then also make sure that that gets carried on into the general election and is a message that a growing segment of this country can rally behind, one that is bigger than, say, Donald Trump's growing amount of support?
Absolutely. Okay. We have to speak to the hearts and souls of the people, not chastise people. When people say they're hurting, we have to affirm that they are. I think Reverend Jesse Jackson talked about the notion of dealing with both class and caste. We have to do both of those things. It's not an either or. And although we do enjoy, I mean, when President Obama took office, let's face it, everything was in the dumps, no doubt about it. And he, through his leadership and the leadership of others, were able to raise this nation up to where we are today. But that does not mean that we do not have higher to go. And so although the unemployment rate is lower, the quality of life for people has not advanced, has not kept up with that. So instead of working 1.5 jobs, people find themselves having to work 3 and 4. So when people say, ouch, Katie, the Democratic Party has to be able to say, we hear you, we feel your pain, and not only are we going to have the most progressive platform, we're actually going to have people who are going to stand up for the people. I mean, to have 13 senators just vote the other day, Democrats the other day, not to lower the prices of pharmaceuticals by allowing those pharmaceuticals to come from Canada, that is just one example of people who talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk.
So don't just rely on facts and figures you see on paper. Instead, go out and take the pulse, talk to communities, get out there. Nina, thank you so much for joining me. Also, Congressman Mark DeSaulnier. Guys, enjoy your MLK Day and happy Inauguration Week. Meanwhile, we're asking...
Thank you.